Hello folks and welcome to another Legend Scale review. What we are looking at today is the second set of Constructicons from Lucky Cat, Long Haul and Hook. Now these guys, like Scrapper and Mixmaster, are technically triple changers or quadruple changers if you count the Devastator mode, because they can transform into these little cubes, much like 52 Toys does with their Beast Box and Mega Box lines. There's really not a lot to say about these modes. They are decently cube-ish. You got storage for all the weapons and the combiner parts and such. They look like they tried to fight Wally and lost. I mean, like, what more can you really say? They're not perfect, but do they need to be? As with Scrapper and Mixmaster, they don't come with any instruction booklets, just a link to video instructions, and those video instructions, they're pretty clear, well made, probably easier to follow than anything I could manage, so I'm just going to whiz through the transformations and give the occasional pointer for any bits I find tricky or confusing. And here they are in robot form. Now, these guys obviously depart from the traditional G1 designs in favour of the War Within concepts by Don Figueroa, and I think they've done a really good job of replicating those designs. The chunkier proportions are exactly what I was looking for personally in a set of Constructicons, as I mainly collect Iron Factory, and I mean this fits in perfectly with what Iron Factory usually does, or used to usually do. There are, of course, some other design changes compared to G1. Hook's got those treads instead of his rear wheels, and Long Haul has significantly more wheels. I think there's something like 12 across both of his legs there. But yeah, the sculpt is what I would call Iron Factory standard, if you know what I mean by that. There's a lot of straight lines, beveled edges, and of course the exaggerated proportions, you know, the chunkier limbs and the smaller heads. Out of the two, I think I would say Long Haul. Yeah, Long Haul is definitely the weaker of the pair. He's got a big kibble backpack there. You can remove the central portion of that. But then, you know, you have to just set it off to the side. Besides that, these waist skirts, they're very kind of, they stick out, those corners, very square, blocky looking. Not a fan. These arms are also very long, proportionally. They come all the way down past his knees at their full extension. So yes, as you can see, I usually keep the elbows collapsed, so they look a little bit more normal. Just don't look at them from the side. But yeah, Hook, on the other hand, his crane arm is the only real kibble he's got, if you can even count that. And there's nothing off about his proportions. They both have die-cast inside their legs. You can see it on Long Haul. It's hidden behind this panel on Hook. So they've got some nice heft to them. Paint is quite minimal, as it was with Scrapper and Mixmaster. Just kind of those occasional highlights that you'd see on the front there. It's enough to keep them from looking too bland. For the articulation, we'll start with Hook here. He's got a very tight rotation just on a peg at the base of his neck there. Can hinge to look down and up a little bit. His crane arm is on a bunch of different hinges here at the base. Then a mushroom peg, another hinge, and then a ball joint. Can, of course, extend and deploy his titular hook. But yeah, you can store that over his shoulder or on his back, however you prefer to display him. Then he has, let me see here, a hinge, a rotation, and a series of 2 more hinges in the shoulder there. Quite a lot. So you can get some really expressive range out of those shoulders. Just has a bicep rotation, simple elbow, and a rotating wrist. No waist rotation, just to the way he transforms, though he does have a hinge. Kind of functions as an ab crunch, maybe a little bit too low down for that, but it's there. You then have the ball jointed hips. You can, of course, move this back piece out of the way if you want to go further back. Thigh rotation, single knee bend. It's quite high up the leg, so any kneeling poses will be difficult. You can, in the knees here, you can unlock this mechanism for some side bend. I wouldn't recommend it though, because it's not a very tight joint. It's mainly for the transformation. And then the heels are on hinges, as are the toes, and they can rotate to simulate an ankle pivot. Now on to long haul. He also has rotation at the head. A little bit of up and down, though of course looking down, he's looking into his own chest, which isn't ideal. Shoulders have 2 hinges, so you can get a little bit of butterfly action, and then a ball joint in closer to the shoulder proper. He has 2 hinges in his elbows, although I mainly use one to shorten the arm. He's got a rotation in between those, and then the hands can hinge, and he doesn't have a rotation. What he does have is a waist rotation. Problem with that is all of his back kibble is attached to the lower half, so if you've got this sitting up here and rotate the waists, you know, it kind of looks unusual. Now these waist skirts can move out of the way, get full range of motion. He's got rotation at the hip and then a hinge. The knee bends forwards and backwards, more for his transformation. He's also got a second knee, lower down, better for kneeling poses. There's a rotation in there too. Let's see what else. Toes and heels again can hinge and pivot to make it look like he's got ankles. As far as accessories go, you of course have the 2 boxes, same as came with Scrapper and Mixmaster, that they can store inside when in cube mode. You can also disassemble those, reassemble those into something else with the aid of these strut pieces and all these extra connectors. Besides that, Hook has 2 little pistols which he can hold or store in his back. Long haul, his weapon is just Devastator's chest plate in 3 pieces. There are plenty of options as to how you can use this. You can store these pieces on the back if you don't want to use them. And then there's this kind of cannon piece. You can hold that with the little handles. You can... Okay, so there's a little peg in here, which is how it attaches to Devastator's chest, and I think there's another part of the vehicle mode this is used for, but the important thing about this, it detaches to show another side. You can then peg this into the little port there, and that changes what it can attach to. So now it can go on his forearm, like so, or it can slot into this section here and, you know, look over his top of his head. So you have options as to how you can use this. You can also bring in the wing pieces and attach those if you want to make some sort of combination weapon, you know, bow, crossbow, whatever. It's up to you. There's also the final accessory is this little green piece. Now, I'm not entirely sure what it is. I assume it's a tool to help you with transforming them, which is very useful, because if you saw my review of Scrapper and Mixmaster, there are some bits that are really hard to manipulate, like the heads when they're tucked into the chest. This helps a lot. It's got a little tab on this end that can fit in some ports, like Hook's chest, and then just a kind of multi-purpose hook on the end of it there. For some size comparisons, here they are with Iron Factory, Megatron, and Soundwave. Are they a little bit on the small side? Yes, but I can live with it. You know, it's not so far off that it doesn't work. Although long haul in particular should really be called short haul at this point. That is them with their DX9 counterparts. And there they are with Iron Factory Runabout, the Lego Stormtrooper, and Core Class Sludge. And again, for transforming from robot to vehicle, I'm just gonna speed through it. So here they both are in vehicle form, and as with the two previous Constructicons, these guys stick pretty closely to the concept art. As they are Cybertronian vehicles, they are unmanned, so they don't really have any obvious cabs or seating for human operators. They're not the most spectacular vehicles, but I mean, they do what they need to do. With Hook, you can move his crane arm about, all the same articulations that it has in robot mode, and then you can also bring in his blasters and store them on this side. If I can find the tab. Long haul, you can also store the combiner chest piece. Kind of just slaps on the top there. Not very subtle, but it gets it stored. You can actually also remove all this junk in the back of the dump truck to make it more functional. I can actually tip up. No bottom to the back there, but visually it works. If you want with these, you can kind of like make a little turret, stick them together, like whatever you want. For just a couple of vehicle mode size comparisons, there they are with their DX9 counterparts, and there they are with Core Class Sludge and the Lego Stormtrooper. Now, I will go into more detail on the full combination once the last set of these guys is out, but for now, here is just a quick height comparison with a couple of other combiners. Got the knockoff DX9 Hulky and Iron Factory Ruination. I don't have the New Age or Magic Square versions to include here, but you can of course cross-reference with Mauricio's reviews of those respective figures. Now, he is just about halfway between these two guys. Only a head taller than Hulky, which is kind of surprising. But then of course that does put him at only a head shorter than Iron Factory Bruticus / Ruination. Would I have liked him bigger? Yes. Just that extra centimeter or two more would have made him perfect for me. But you know, it's not the end of the world. One other thing to consider, I don't know how accurate this is, but I believe the general consensus was that these boxes are compatible with 52 toys. I don't have a 52 toys figure to test with myself, so if that is true, they're constrained to the volume of these boxes to, you know, keep that cross compatibility. That may be why he is the height he is. I don't know. You can correct me in the comments if that is not the case. But yeah, you can extend, stretch the legs up a little bit by manipulating those hips. It doesn't do an awful lot, so I don't bother. Genuinely, the size is not a concern to me. Back when he was first announced, I thought he was going to be the same size as Voltron, 16 centimeters tall as opposed to the 22 that this one is. I still haven't pre-ordered. He wasn't going to scale with my Iron Factory stuff, but I like the style enough to pre-order him. But the fact that he does kind of scale with Iron Factory, even better. At this point, I don't think Iron Factory could even top this if they did a Devastator of their own. He just fits that well with their kind of established aesthetic. But yeah, in conclusion, before I gush any more about this figure, it's another solid pair of bots from Lucky Cat. The main selling point, as I mentioned, is the style. Like, these are the ones to get if you collect, Iron Factory and other the non-G1 legends, essentially. This one is also a little bit cheaper than the New Age or Magic Square versions. If you don't have those, either of those already, I would highly recommend. Even if you do have them, if you've got both, if you've got a Devastator collection, might as well add this one. He's pretty unique. But yeah, the most impressive part about this, for me personally, is the fact that all the combiner parts have been incorporated into the figures themselves. Not something that's necessary. I don't really have an issue with parts forming in general. New Age and Magic Square, they were concerned about that. They were more concerned with keeping in scale with their own stuff, which is fair enough. Not my cup of tea. This kind of thing here, this is the most impressive part to me. A fully self-incorporated combiner, mostly. But yeah, that's all I have to say about these guys for now. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.